Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel for the second episode in the My Team series. Today I'm joined by a man with 4 top 1000 finishes and a couple more inside the top 5k. A truly ridiculous FPL record, one of the best out there, FPL Salah. Abdul, mate, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Jack. How are you?
Good, mate. Good, mate. Really excited to see your team. So in today's video, we're going to be building Abdul's team player by player over on Fantasy Football Hub's My Team tool, as you can see on screen. That's then going to give us a team rating percentage, allowing us to compare Abdul's current draft with other guests we've had on the series already and we'll have on the future, and also yours. If you want to compare your team against one of the biggest names in FPL, you can do the same. Link below, completely free. Check it out. But for now, Abdul, let's get into the first player. Who you got?
So in goals, my first keeper is Mark Flecken.
Okay.
So I had a Pickford a few days ago, but there's been growing speculation of Raya getting a move away. And if he goes, then he'll be their Brentford's #1 goalkeeper. And he's only 4.5 million. So, you know, for a Brentford defence, that's not too bad. And also, you know, with Brentford, you know, they were one of the top 5 best defences in terms of goal conceders last season. So, yeah, he's in there at the moment. Obviously, you know, kind of dependent on Raya going away, but I think he will.
Okay, a player that we don't know too much about, but that's an interesting shout. Right, who would be your backup keeper, just very quickly?
Yeah, I've got Areola, who's 4 million. So there's rumours of him possibly getting the #1 spot again ahead of Fabianski. This is nothing concrete, but I've heard a lot of West Ham fans talking about this. So he's in there at the moment. Again, you know, coming to pre-season, there might be another 4 million goalkeeper that emerges, but right now, got Areola there.
All right, moving on to the defence then.
So the first one is Trent, coming in at 8 million. So I just think, he's 8 million. He's the most expensive he's ever been. And Liverpool's, you know, I think first 2 fixtures are kind of fairly tough. Well, they've got Chelsea away in the first game, but then they've got Newcastle in game week 3. But I just think with Trent, you know, in that hybrid position that he's playing in, you know, if you look at his underlying numbers from when he started that position last season, you know, they're pretty good. So he's in there at the moment. I just think he's one of those kind of, you know, glue picks where you just put him in your team and he can score against you know, any opposition.
Yeah, I agree. It's sort of player where it doesn't even need to keep a clean sheet necessarily. Could just really do really well, especially given those fixtures that aren't actually too bad, even though they don't look amazing. Right, next up.
Next up, I've got Pervis Estepinian. So a bit of a hero for me last season. Brighton's fixtures to start are awesome. You know, I mean, they've got Luton, Wolves and West Ham in the first 3. You know, he's attacking. He got 8 attacking returns last season, which is like, you know, the 3rd most out of all defenders, just behind Trent and Trippier. And you know, Brighton are just one of those teams where, you know, they're good. They're good at the back. They're a top 5 defence, you know, according to last season, if you look at their XGC and goals conceded. And yeah, and they're attacking as well. And he's, you know, he's bombing forward all the time. So 5 million, I think, is a bargain for his opinion. So he's in there for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Great price. That game against Arsenal kind of shows what he could do at the back end of last season. All right, who you got next?
So I've got Gabriel, who's probably one of the most underpriced defenders in the history of the game.
Really?
He's only 5 million for Gabriel, and then it's pretty insane because Arsenal are probably like the 2nd best defence in the league, right? Definitely top 3 defence.
Yeah.
He had the highest XG from all defenders last season of 5.07. He scored 8 goals in the last 3 seasons. He'll get about, I'd say, 4 to 6 goals this season. I think, you know, if you look at his underlying numbers, that's what he'll get. And you know, at that price, I just think, he's just really, really underpriced. And right now, I think he's pretty much like 99% locked in my team.
Okay, so some Arsenal defensive coverage there, something that we haven't seen in every draft. So okay, interesting. Now, do you want to carry on with the defense, or do you want to go elsewhere?
Yeah, we'll go with the defense because it's not too more. The picks aren't too exciting. So I got Botman again, who I think is the best 4.5 million defender by far. Again, Newcastle's fixtures aren't great to start with, but he's one of those players where, you know, you're just going to keep him on you're going to keep him in your team until the first wild card at least, and he's going to have some good fixtures you can play him in. Again, Newcastle, I just think, you know, great defence. They're only going to improve this year, and you know, 4.5 million for you're talking a Champions League team, who are probably going to be, you know, a top 4 defence come end of the season. So yeah, Botman in there for sure again.
He's an interesting one because there's no doubt he's underpriced, like you say with Gabriel. 4.5 does seem a bit cheap for him, but with the first wildcard in mind, normally you tend to play the first wildcard relatively early. Not saying you have to do it, or you know, you might get off to a fly. You don't need to do it, but those opening fixtures, you know, City away, Liverpool at home, Brighton away. Are you sure there's not a better option out there, or you set on the probably the best player in that budget anyway.
Yeah, because as I said, with my three defenders and with my formation, he's not going to get played often.
Yeah.
So, he might, again, he's a great bench option to have in case I get injuries or, a player misses out. And yeah, I'm not really too bothered about the fixtures because he's going to be, at the moment I've got him as a, the number one bench option. So yeah, I mean, if you had him in your starting 11, it'd probably be, something you'd have to probably look at a rotation, like a 4.5 million defender elsewhere, just that rotates well with him. But yeah, I don't see the fixtures as a problem.
Okay, let's round up the defense then.
Yeah, so I've gone for Bayer, who is a 4 million defender. So Jordan Bayer for Burnley. He's not confirmed yet. That fifth defender will be a 4 million defender. Whether it be him or Amari Bell, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
So again, we'll see the preseason games. We'll see who's getting more minutes and who's more nailed, what signings they make. But yeah, at the moment I've got Jordan Bayer.
Okay, let's get into the midfield then. So many options, especially in midfield this year. Really interested to see who you're going with, because it could be 5 of 15 to 20 names, really.
Yeah. I mean, the midfield is packed this season, and I think starting game week 1, a lot of us are going to have quite a different midfield.
Yeah.
2 or 3 players definitely. I think for me, I'll go for the obvious one first. Is Bukayo Saka. I think he's going to be the one that kind of everyone owns. He's going to be a template pick. He's template for a reason, Jack. He came in at 8.5 million. Again, I think he's so underpriced, especially when you've got Odegaard at the same price. Saka's the one who's going to be the most nailed. He's on penalties. Arsenal have got a great, opening fixtures. They play Nottingham Forest, Fulham, Everton, Bournemouth in the first 7 games. So yeah, he's nailed in my team.
Yeah, his predicted points just show that really just greens across the board. Looks really good. Okay, who's next?
So I've got Odegaard in there at the moment.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got 3 Arsenal at the moment. Odegaard, I think, again, good value. He's scored about 15 odd goals last season, and again, it's mainly because of the Arsenal fixtures. And I just think he's one of the best midfielders there at 8.5 million. So yeah, at the moment, I've got Odegaard.
Yeah, 212 points last year. Can't really argue with that.
Yeah.
What that does mean though is it first of all means no Martinelli. Just want to hear your thoughts on him. And then we'll get on to later down the line. It also means, because you've used up those Arsenal slots, no Jesus. So I'll be interested to see who you've got up front. But for now, Martinelli. Yeah,
so Martinelli, I think, is a good option. I just think he's not as nailed as Odegaard and Saka, because you've got Trossard there, but he's got more goal threat than Odegaard. And again, if you're if you're saving the, if you want to use 0.5 elsewhere and get Martinelli, then he's a totally fine option. I just think starting the season, I like to start with the players who are guaranteed more minutes. So that's the only reason, really. Martinelli is still a good option.
Sure, that makes complete sense. Okay, who's your third midfielder?
So Bruno Fernandes I've got at the moment.
Nice.
So I've got no Rashford, right? So I'll tell you that now. I've got Bruno Fernandes. Again, 8.5 million. I think he's a great price. He's one of the most nailed players in the league. He pretty much plays every single game. He plays 90 minutes every single game. Even like in the cup games, Jack, he's like, he's playing mostly like, 90 minutes in the cup games as well. So yeah, at the moment, I've got him. And if I, with the team I have, if I had an extra 0.5, I probably would have gone for Rashford. But just with the team I've got, I can't really find that 0.5 elsewhere at the moment. But he's still a fine option.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Bruno v Rashford. Bruno with a big price drop. Do you think 8.5 is a little bit too cheap?
It is cheap, yeah. But I mean, I just think everyone else is so cheap as well. So I mean, if you can easily, afford the 0.5 for Rashford, then you'd go for it, because Rashford has got the the superior goal threat. But I don't think there's much in it between them, because obviously there's a 0.5 difference in price. Bruno's got the minutes and he's got the penalties. Rashford's got the far superior goal threat. So I think come end of the season, it's going to be quite close between them two.
Okay, so quite a lot of money spent in midfield already. Yeah. Any more being spent? Any more mid prices?
Yeah. So I've got a 5-man midfield. I've gone Matoma. Okay. Again, just I said earlier with Brighton's fixtures, and I think he's probably the one, the midfielder out of March and Gross, who's got the most goal threat. So I like Matoma at the moment. I like their fixtures. Solly March is a good option. He's probably got overall kind of better underlying numbers because he's got a higher assist threat. At the moment, I'm going with the guy with the goal threat, and probably the one who's probably more nailed as well. So Matoma.
Yeah, already in almost 40% of teams. Just breakout season last year. Why not? 6.5 is not a crazy price. Okay, and then you're going with a 5-man midfield. So who's your last playing midfielder then?
Yeah, so we've gone for Mbuemo,
Yeah.
Brian Mbuemo. I just think, with he'll possibly be on penalties with no Tony. I'm not really sure on Mbuemo yet because that's that price point is 6.5. There's there's quite a few midfielders, in that kind of price category. So the only reason I've kind of gone with him at the moment is because, Brentford have got good fixtures, could possibly be on penalties, will play some games up top. I think Brighton usually play Mbeumo up top when they're playing tougher opposition. When they're playing easier opposition, it's Wissa who's up front. So at the moment, yeah, I've got Mbeumo. Again, that's one of the positions we're not sure of at the moment. But I do think he's a good option at that price.
Yeah. So, I've seen some news today on Brennan Johnson being a target for Brentford. It's a crazy price of like 50. I know he's young, but a crazy price of around 50 million. I don't know if that's going to come to fruition or it's just a rumor, but that could affect Mbeumo if it happens, of course. But yeah, a weird one. But they've got to replace Tony somehow. Although back end of last season, they were doing pretty well without him.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that one actually. So yeah,
I literally just saw it before we started recording. May not come to fruition, but yeah, it made me think. Nonetheless, let's move on to the big boys. So 26.5 million still to go. Let's start with the man that I just know is in your team.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go without Erling Haaland, so there's not much kind of explaining needed for him. I think he's like 85% owned or something at the moment, which is a record.
Wow, yeah, 85.5%. That is ridiculous.
85.5%. That's just unbelievable. It's just so risky to go without him. Go without him, especially since we know how good he is. He'll probably be our captain for I don't know 90% of the season or even more. So yeah, it's pretty much a 14-man game this season again.
When you look at those fixtures. It's impossible not to captain it. It's just impossible. Look at the green. The green is crazy. The minimum predicted points he has over the first 7 game weeks is 8 points. That's the minimum. That's the floor, according to Fantasy Football Hub's My Team tool, which is pretty insane. But based on last year, you couldn't really argue against that.
No, okay, you can't. Not much. No.
So 12.5 to go. No Jesus. Let's get to your second striker then.
Yeah, second striker at the moment is Nkunku. So the two.
Nice.
Price points I'm unsure about at the moment. The two positions, should I say, are Nkunku and Mbuemo. Okay. I think Nkunku is, again, a great value at 7.5 million, right? He's scored 58 goals over the last 2 seasons. He scored in the Champions League. He is, a top tier player. And I just think 7.5 million in the Chelsea team is really underpriced. And I know Chelsea finished 12th last season, but I don't think they're only going to improve from that. Surely they're only going to improve from that. And they've got a great manager in Pochettino, who's surely going to finish higher. And even if Chelsea end up as like the 7th or 8th best team in the league coming into the season, that's still good value, really good value at 7.5 million. And if he's nailed and he's starting every game, he's going to make a mockery with that price tag. But at the moment, it's just Again, it's just with pre-season, I'm going to really kind of keep an eye on Chelsea, see how Pochettino's setting up, whether, he looks nailed to start, see how his fitness is. But I really like him at that price. But yeah, it does mean no Jesus, which is quite worrying.
Yeah, I guess you have the coverage. I don't know what your thoughts are on
yeah, I mean, my argument is, okay, Jesus is 0.5 cheaper than Odegaard. Odegaard will get more minutes. Jesus is, his expected goals involvement is insane. He is one of those where he gets chances. He can assist. He's got high goal and assist threat. And at 8 million, he's great value. But at the moment, I have thought about putting Botman down to an Amari Bell. And going with Nkunku up front, and then and then changing up Odegaard. But I don't know. I just kind of feel uncomfortable with two 4 million defenders and a 4.5 million forward on the bench. I'm not sure when I'm going to wildcard, so that is really risky to go with that. So yeah, just a wee bit unsure on those on those positions at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have those 2 starting defenders, we'll see if they do end up starting.
Yeah,
it's still a bit risky, isn't it? Because injuries and selection and whatever, you need to have at least one playable sub that you'd be happy coming in.
Yeah. So yeah, final position is, I think it's just we've got the third forward, which is Surridge. So again, the 4.5 million forwards this season, Jack, are like there's really nobody, I think, at the moment who is kind of even close to kind of nailed to starting. I think Surridge is the one who is likely to play the most minutes at the moment, but I know some people have been talking about Balogun for Arsenal, and if he gets him, he's at 4.5 million. If he gets a move away to another Premier League club, then that kind of changes things completely in terms of team structures and and who we can get. So that probably means we can easily get Salah into our teams, you know, in a kind of 4-4-2 or a 4-5-1. So, but at the moment, you know, there's no 4.5 million forwards, and I've gone for Surridge, who I think at the moment is likely to play the most minutes.
Wow, that's a good segue there, mentioning your namesake. Can you remember a season, FPL Salah, where you haven't gone with Mo from the start?
No, so from since he's been in the Premier League, I've not started without Mo Salah, but you know that's Erling Haaland's fault. He's caused me to betray my hero, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to FPL Jack, there's kind of, for me, there's no sentiment, there's no room for that. So yeah, I'll go with the team that I think is best.
Okay, then let's get your team all optimized, and let's see where it comes out. Last episode was FPL Heisenberg, who ended up with a 90% team rating. Now, off the bat, without me telling you, do you reckon you've beaten that?
I think so. I think my two weak spots that the two will pick up will be on Kunku and Mbemo, I'm assuming, and I think they'll bring it down. I say 95, 94.
Okay. And captain game week 1, I need to ask you that, although you have already said it.
Haaland, yeah.
Haaland, 100%. Right then, that is the team. And the team rating is 96%.
Oh, right.
It's very good.
Not too bad. Happy with that.
Not too bad at all. It probably is the likes of an Nkunku in there at 4.1 predicted points when you compare him to a Jesus. Interesting, Trent is down as well, just for those first 3, because they are quite tough fixtures. But you know, across the course of the season, you think someone like him would really do well. So look, there you go. 96%. Happy with that?
Yeah, definitely happy with that. Yeah.
Okay, now moving on to a lovely feature on the website. As always, as I've said, guys, you can go and do this yourself. But this right here, as you can see, is recommended transfers. The tool will have a look at your team and think, where can we get some more points? Obviously, Abdul's team is at a 96% team rating. It's a great rating. It puts you in first in the overall leaderboard of guests that we've had on the channel so far. But this could improve it. Up to you whether you go for it or not, but how about this? First transfer would be Nkunku out for Jesus.
Okay, that sounds good.
Now, obviously, that needs to be funded, but your thoughts on that off the bat?
Yeah, I guess it'll tell me to get rid of Odegaard then, because I'll have 4 Arsenal otherwise, so we'll see who it tells me to get rid of.
It actually says Saka to go. Obviously, Odegaard really? got more points last year. I don't know if you agree with that, but Saka on penalties?
Definitely not.
No? Disagree. Rashford coming in, though.
Okay.
And then the final move is Botman out for Bulldog. I guess that kind of goes back to my point on whether you think that, well, you know, Botman is probably the best 4.5 million defender across the season. Yeah. It's just those early fixtures until wildcard 1, which may not be the best. But what are your thoughts overall on those moves?
I did mention that earlier as well, like putting Botman down to another 4 million defender to get Jesus. So I'm not against that. And obviously with Rashford, I mean, I guess with the Rashford move, it can be done with Odegaard as well.
Yeah, you could do it with Odegaard. Yeah, if you said Saka was nailed.
You know what? They're not too bad moves. I think if it done Odegaard to Rashford and then Botman down to a 4 million and then Nkunku to Jesus, I think that's pretty sensible moves, to be honest. And I could well go with that if I decide to go for 4 million defenders. So yeah, I'm quite impressed with that, Jack.
Well, there you go. That's the beauty of the tool. That is the beauty of the tool. And guys, if you want to do that yourself, get that information for free. As I said, it's down below in the description. If you like what you see, then there's an amazing offer. First of all, it's 50% off anyways. And second of all, if you do not win your mini league this season and you sign up to Fantasy Football Hub at any tier level and you don't win the league, then you get all your money back. Pretty phenomenal deal if you ask me. Imagine that. You pay for a service, it doesn't come off, and you just get all the money back. That is how confident Fantasy Football Hub is in itself. What do you think about that, Abdul? Pretty nuts, right?
Yeah, no. I think CEO is going to be going bankrupt this season, probably.
I personally don't get it, but look, I'm not behind the finance. I don't do the strategy. But wow, what a deal! You do want to get involved in that, guys? Link is in the top line of the description. Abdul, thank you very much for doing this. Really appreciate your tips and advice. Good to hear that you liked the recommended transfers as well. And for now, with 96% team rating, you are top of the leaderboard.
Hey, nice one.
All right, mate. Cheers, guys. We'll see you all soon with the next team reveal.